And he said, "Oh no, Ollie."
Oh, hey, welcome in. Latest episode of that SEC podcast. Sponsored by Twisted Tea and My Bookie. I'm your host, Michael Bratton. Sick as a dog, and I go by SEC Bike on Twitter. Joined as always by my cousin Shane,
I'll text you.
who goes by
Sorry.
Big Orange Vol. So we're live right now, buddy,
Yeah.
just in case you didn't know. What's up, yo, Tissy over?
Oh man, it's been one of those damn days, brother. I have been to the mall 2 days in a row. All right. 2 days in the damn row, man. I've been to the mall 2 days in a whole year. And of course, you know me, procrastinating Shane, waiting to the last minute to get these gifts.
Yep.
You know, at this point, you're just getting whatever's available. You know, it's like I don't care if it's in your size or not. You know, you can get it, and I'll get that gift receipt so you can take it back. But it's been an absolute nightmare. And then of course I'm sending my wife in. I'm like, hey, you go in, and I'm sitting out there in the mall with them old farts looking at my phone, keeping up with all this recruiting news, man. It is just I can't stay off of it. You know, I hate to say that the transfer portal has stole a little bit of National Signing Day luster, but I got a little spark of it today, brother. Seeing some hat flips and everything, it felt like 2013 again, you know?
Yeah, well, you threw a lot at me this shit. I don't know how to react, but I did want to say real quick. Of course, this mainly gonna be National Signing Day show, not a Christmas show or anything like that. But
Yeah.
It's funny because you got me thinking, Shane. Where I live, there's a little shopping area. It's pretty popular, but not that popular. And the last like week and a half, I'm right there with you. I'm going to these stores, you know, trying to get presents. I was going to Target, and it's like it's a madhouse. So I'm like, I ain't going to Target. I'll go to TJ Maxx, and then that's a madhouse. And I was like, F it. You know, everybody's getting a gift from me. They're getting it from Kroger. You know, like I'm downgrading per store because the rest are just unbearable right now.
Yeah, my parents, it's like at that point now, I'm like, where do y'all like to eat? You know, because you're getting a gift card to that location. So
Yeah, but how about it, Shane? I mean, yeah, you're right. This is not the same old signing day that we grew up loving. It's a little bit different. There was some drama. There's been a lot of trolling. We got a couple of coach comments that I thought were fantastic. But you ready to talk? We don't talk a lot of recruiting, Shane, but you ready to talk some recruiting, brother?
let's do it.
And don't forget, Texas and Oklahoma, we're counting them. They're
Yeah.
SEC, baby. We got all these guys they signed now will never play in that garbage league they were in. They're all playing in the SEC, at least until they transfer a year from now. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely. And sorry, on that note, man, I was looking out of the top 25 of this recruiting class, 13 of those are in the SEC, Mike.
Oh, wow. It's like you're stealing right from my notes,
Oh.
Shane. That's exactly where I was going. 13 of the 16 in the SEC are currently in the top 25 of the recruiting rankings. Just incredible. How does that stack up across the country? Of course, it's number one, Shane. Big Ten got 7. Oh, good job, Big Ten. You're about halfway to the SEC. ACC, you got 3. No wonder Florida State can't get into the playoff with an undefeated record. And the Big 12, that's where Texas and Oklahoma came from. They got 1, Shane. So now you know why they're leaving that garbage league. The SEC rules, signing day, college football playoff, NFL draft, on and on and on. It's just the latest evidence of it. You know what?
Absolutely. And like I said, it was a lot of flips too. A lot of flips from these other conferences. I'm looking at you, Florida State. You know what I'm saying? Some of these boys losing them. They're coming to the SEC. They finally figured out this is where they want to be. So I absolutely love it. Now you're kind of getting the feel of what your program may be in the next couple of years.
Right, and one guy that's not out here having to do all this work today, Shane, you sent this over to me right before we went live. We had to share this because old Dan Bullet here is sitting his ass on the ESPN studio, not having to deal with recruits. For those just listening on the podcast here, this is a margarita that Dan Mullen on the beach here. I don't think he's actually on the beach. This was probably taken a while ago, but that's his attitude towards signing day, and more power to him. You know what?
Well, the problem was that may have been taken the last time he was at a national signing day. Everybody knows Dan wasn't big on recruiting, you know?
Yeah, and then how about this one, Shane? This guy, not SEC related, but he went to Buford. There's a couple. That's where Dylan Raiola, the guy the quarterback that flipped. But there's a Georgia guy, one of the Buford guys, Shane. But before we get to that, I just had to show this too. I want to shout out Buford High School out of Georgia, Shane.
Yeah.
Lyman Dale Green. Check out this mullet. I mean, that's a 5-star mullet if there ever was one, wasn't there?
Oh, I thought you were about to show me a poem or something. I was like, this is like the opposite. Yeah, man. This head of hair. Audio listeners can't see it, but we'll put it on the Twitters. But damn, that is Goldilocks right there, man.
I'd love to see Cousin Shane with that dude. You know what?
Yeah, I'd like to have a fourth of that hair, Mike.
All right, brother. So let's see where to begin. Real quick, how about this? I'm just gonna run down the team rankings real quick, and then we're gonna do this team by team. But first, I just want to give an overview of where everybody landed, and these are the composite rankings. Again, some people like Rivals, some people like ESPN, some people like 24/7, some people like On3. This is the composite, which is all the rankings put together, and then your average. So I just think this is the best, most accurate way to evaluate it because you got more evaluators rating these players, rating these classes. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so going down the composite rankings, Shane. Stunning news here. Georgia Bulldogs, Kirby Smart.
What?
#1 recruiting class in the country. Every single season, Shane, that Kirby has been in Athens for a full recruiting cycle, he's recruited a top 5 class. I think Nick Saban's the greatest college coach of all time. I think Kirby Smart is the greatest recruiter of all time. And Saban, just a hair behind him, in my opinion. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, with all that's the thing. All these other schools are still in the highlights from the transfer portal and whatnot. But when it comes down to recruiting, nobody's doing it better than Kirby Smart. They keep reloading. They can afford the ability to lose some of these kids later in the portal because they land so much in these recruiting classes. So I don't know about you, brother, but I sensed a little attitude from some of these recruits too. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to that here in a second, I bet. But yeah, I love this class. Georgia fans are on cloud 9, of course.
Right, and again, so no slight to the GOAT, Nick Saban. I think he's the second best recruiter of all time. Shane. Alabama #2. We may have to change the recruit rules because Alabama finished second again. Last time they finished second, he went on a damn tirade against Jimbo Fisher and NIL and how this cannot stand. We will never be #2 again. They were #1 last year and just barely #2 this year. No surprise, Georgia and Alabama 1-2 in the recruiting rankings.
No, it's like Groundhog's Day, Just keep waking up that same damn song, It's one of these two teams that are going to be at the top year after year, and that ain't going to change why them boys are still coaching there.
Right, and then this is a surprise, Shane, at least to me, just because we're new to this team. We know they always get these recruits, Shane, but Texas ranks 3rd in the SEC, #6 overall class in the country. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. They always recruit real down there, but we'll get to their class in a minute. I believe Texas signed more 5-stars than anybody in the country. How about Texas at #6?
Yeah, as soon as they all woke up, as soon as they got out of bed, they decided to come on board #6 in the country. That's pretty impressive and very impressive class. I really like a lot of the pieces that are there. Some of these kids are going to be dynamite, brother.
Right, and then #7, Shane, this is a huge reason to be excited if you're a fan of this team, and you didn't get everybody you want. You never do. But Auburn, Shane, #7 in the country, coming off a 6-6 year. This is why we brought Hugh Freeze down here to recruit, to get us back to that elite level. Again, we'll break down more of their class in depth in just a moment, but hit on several key holes on their roster, so to speak, that they have got players that are going to seamlessly fit right in And if they keep this up, Shane, Auburn's going to be a contender in the SEC before long.
Buddy, busy in the portal, busy on the recruiting trail. This is what we kept hearing. Wait till Hugh gets his guys. Wait till they build some of that competitive depth, brother. Auburn's going to be a scary, scary program here sooner than later. I think not that the portal really helped them out, but establishing some of this foundation players here in the recruiting class, 2-3 years from now, that's really going to start showing.
Yep. So number 8, Shane, again, very unusual that we're even talking about this, but them Oklahoma, number 8. So a top 10 class, this is what you got to do to be competitive in the SEC, recruit into the top 10. And Brent Venables and company, despite losing their offensive coordinator, Jeff Lebby, of course, Mississippi State, still signed a top 10 class. So a great start, I think, for Oklahoma coming into the SEC.
Yeah, that's it. Depth. You got to keep it coming, keep it rolling. Oklahoma's going to be here to stay, and I think this is big too, brother. Just coming into this conference, we're going to get to some ones that maybe got away, but they're still a top 10 team, top 10 recruiting class.
Yeah, and then LSU next, Shane, number 11. Again, we'll go a little bit more in depth on their class in just a second, but they dominated in the state of Louisiana. But I'm not used to LSU being this far down, which, it's not awful. 11, you could still, you're a playoff contender right there, but no 5-stars in the class. Just a little bit unusual. I'm used to seeing LSU closer to 5 than it is 11. So I wonder if those fans are slightly disappointed with this right now.
Yeah, I think you should be, Mike. LSU is a brand that always finds their way in the top 5 when you're thinking recruits, you're thinking of talent, state alone. So, yeah, I think there's probably a little bit of a disappointing. I mean, but you're still sitting there at 11th in the country. You know what I'm saying? So right. I don't think they're frowning too bad, but this does give me a little pause.
Now, let's see if this gives you pause, Shane, because them Tennessee Vols, number 13 in the country, which is wild, Shane. Isn't it wild? We're sitting here saying 13 in the country, but 7th in the conference. I mean, any other conference, you're going to win it with this class. So Tennessee, number 13, some misses, some big hits. Overall, I think this is a good class for Josh Heupel and company, but maybe not quite where they thought they'd finish coming off an 11-win season.
Yeah, but, more quality than quantity. And we went out and got what we needed. And I will say this, Coach Heupel, I don't know if we're going to play any audio, but was very tickled about this class. There was some that got away, but there was a lot that we maybe thought we could lose, and we didn't. So, I think Tennessee Vols are okay here.
Right. So, next on the docket, again, this is the team we're going to break down first in just a moment here, Shane, but they took a big tumble. Number 16, Florida. They were number 3 about 2 weeks ago, all the way down to 16. Retained some key pieces, which will be critical, but, man, I feel like I'm piling on Billy at this point in time, Shane, but it's hard to look at another program that's had a rougher, month and a half than the Florida Gators.
Yeah, I agree with you, but, there was a couple that were rumored not to sign and did. And I think if you're a fan, you're thinking, hey, this could have been worse coming off this season that we had. You got a quarterback you can build around. I'm not worried about recruiting as much. It's not like it used to be, Mike. You have a bad recruiting class, it takes 2-3 years to bounce back, and I'm not saying this is a terrible class because there's still SEC teams we haven't got to, but in the day and age where we can find a team that gets hot and hit the transfer portal, I'm not panicking, but you got like you said, some key pieces that you really wanted. So yeah,
Jackson says, Cousin Shane, next head coach at Florida, 2025.
Well, I got a quarterback at least,
All right, number 17, Shane, Texas A&M. Again, they're used to finishing much higher, but you understand it, coaching change, and we'll get to their class, but about half of it's unsigned, Shane, which I don't think that's bad, to be honest with you, because, again, we'll get to it, but I think what you don't want, Shane, you don't want a coach coming in there, he's got 2 weeks to do this, and then just like taking guys to take them.
Yeah.
because with the portal and everything like that, they could get there. They could rush to sign. They could get to spring, and then they say, "What the hell? I don't want to play for this damn guy." You know what I mean? Or his scheme doesn't fit me, or his culture doesn't fit me, and then they just jump in the portal. So what the hell's the point of signing them? I think this is the right move by A&M and those prospects to wait it out and get to know the coach a little bit better, evaluate their options. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Well, that's the beauty of two classes, This is the early one. This has become the bigger one, but it's not the only one. So still got some time to salvage that. But you're right. Don't just bring it. That's what they've been doing, Mike. A lot of times they brought in talent that wasn't going to help them. And I would rather them be a little bit more specific on what they can hit on immediately. So with a coach change, I still think you're happy with this class so far.
Todd says, cousin Shane Beamer.
Nah, I've been called worse today.
But hey, funny he mentions that, Shane, because number 20, South Carolina. And again, we'll get to their class in just a minute. But I love this class for the Gamecocks. They didn't sign a ton of guys, but they signed quality, and they signed players at positions of need. I've heard J.C. Sherbert say this is arguably the best class South Carolina's ever signed. So if I'm a Gamecock, I'm pretty fired up. I know there's been some losses via the portal, but getting guys that are totally bought in, Shane Beamer era and the culture and all that, I think it's a really good class for the Gamecocks.
Yeah, like you said, quality. I think that's the key word, Mike, because they got some dudes that are going to hit, I think, sooner than later. These are like contributors that will need to grow up quick. So, and I like it. I like the attitude with a lot of these boys coming in. They're building something over there in Columbia, and you can kind of sense that with this class.
Yeah, and similar themes here. Shane, for number 24, Missouri didn't sign a ton of guys, but they signed some quality. Went heavy on the portal. Number 24, Missouri, and boy, for a team that finished 24, Shane, they sure as hell know how to troll. They were getting billboards up everywhere they signed. Top prospects in Arkansas getting billboards. They got a kid out of Nashville over Tennessee. There's a big billboard here in my hometown, Nashville, Tennessee. Man, they're letting everybody know Mizzou's here. We're here for your recruits. We're here for your players. And I don't know. It's wild times. This has got to be this. We had someone DM us, Shane. They said, I'm 53 years old. This is the best time in my life for Missouri football.
It's like they discovered some money, like at Christmas money, start coming in. It's like, shit, let's buy some billboards in other states. Let's do it, So I love the trolling. I love this attitude. You see it on the – and too, Mizzou has never been like – in the years past, this is like where you had to build your program was through recruiting. I don't know if that's the case anymore. I think you help your portal through the recruiting. So this one was this was some big gets there. Like you said, a little like South Carolina, a little bit more quality than quantity, but yeah, they got some dudes, brother.
So number 25, Shane, the Kentucky Wildcats, and they're another one loading up via the transfer portal. We'll get to their class. And that was interesting about today as well, Shane. Usually it's all about the recruits. Today was like half recruits, half transfers. I mean, there's big time transfer news all across the SEC. Guys getting in the portal, guys committing out of the portal. So again, probably not the number you want if you're Kentucky, but if you factor in all the additions via the transfer portal and these numbers, this rankings I'm giving out, Shane, this does not include transfer rankings. It's just recruiting rankings. So again, if you're top 25, I think you're pretty happy if you're Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, with the portal. I mean, think about the kids they landed in the portal, how excited we were for them when they landed in recruiting. It's like, oh, look, Georgia loaded up. And it's like, oh, shit, now they're living in Lexington. So,
and then number 28, Shane, Arkansas, their class kind of, I don't want to say fell apart there at the end, but they lost some key players. Coaching transition and all that. They're another one, though, that they've gained about 8 in the portal and some big-time prospects here recently. So not the class that you want if you're Arkansas, but that's what's going to happen, Shane, when there's speculation on whether your coach is even going to be there and all that plays into it. But number 28 for Arkansas, that's better than Mississippi State. Number 36, but again, that's largely due to coaching change there.
Yeah.
New head coach Jeff Lebby. They got some quarterbacks. They're hitting it hard via the transfer portal as well. And then last but not least, Vanderbilt, number 40. And hell, Shade, if they had a top 40 roster the last couple of years, they probably winning a lot more games than they're winning. So even, the number is not what you want. This has got to be an upgrade for Vanderbilt and their overall talent.
Yeah, they needed bodies quick. So this is, again, going to be hopefully a grow-up school, not one that transfers out like they did last season or this season. Hell, I'm getting my years mixed up, but Vanderbilt, that was what got them, was just that depth. So that's what these boys may create. So all in all, again, you've got all 16 teams within the top 40, 3 and not in the top 25. Are you a little surprised any of those not in the top 25? The Mississippi State, Arkansas, Vandy?
I mean, kind of Arkansas. I would have think they would have been in the top 25. Kind of missed on some guys. They had a couple decommits that one went to Florida over Alabama. I mean, it's tough. The guy, one of the big commits Mizzou got yesterday, number 1 prospect out of Arkansas. They were hoping to get him. But I don't know, Shane. I mean, well, Billy Napier, that's probably a bad example. But, Sam Pittman and Billy Napier are probably in the same boat right now.
Yeah.
If you sign with them, you don't know how long your coach is even going to be there.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to go, I think, pick Missouri over Arkansas right now. But I don't know. So, no, I guess given the coaching situation, that it doesn't really surprise me. Does it surprise you?
Nah, it's just kind of getting your thoughts. I'm with you, Arkansas. It's like it's tough to get excited about recruiting because you need it now. I get more excited when a transfer comes in. I get more excited when a kid decides to stay. Things like that, because you don't have time to develop and 2-3 years from now we'll be in a better spot. Arkansas's got to hit the ground running. So I'm not, throwing up any red flags because of this recruiting class, but it's definitely one that could change next year based off how successful the season Sam Pittman has.
Right. So I wanted to start talking about Florida first, Shane, in this individual class. They finished 16th. They were number 3 2 weeks ago. I mentioned that already. So they, really fell apart here. But they did sign 2 5-stars, 7 4-stars, and 9 3-stars. And most importantly, Shane, they got the quarterback, DJ Lagway, number 2 quarterback in the country. There was a lot of speculation, Shane. Southern Cal's coming, Texas A&M's coming, but they held on to him. Centerpiece here, 72% completion percentage this season, Shane. 4,600 passing yards, 58 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions. And then, he ran for just under 1,000 yards and 16 touchdowns in the state of Texas, where they're high school football crazy. So this is a massive win for Billy Napier and company. It's a player to build around. They also kept 5-star number 2 defensive lineman in the country, L.J. McCray, and he was one. Maybe he was just trying to drum up some hype and all that, but he had told the reporters, hey, I'm not signing today. And they're like, oh, God, this class is coming apart. But, no, he did. He signed this evening with Florida. They also got a 4-star running back, Jaden Baugh. He's the one that decommitted from Arkansas. Now he's a Florida Gator. So, they managed to kind of salvage it, but they lost a ton, Shane. Lost a 5-star this week.
Yeah.
They lost 6 4-stars in the last couple weeks here. So, I mean, that's how you go from number 3 to 16. But at the end of the day, Shane, again, I realize this is not what Florida fans were hoping for. They were, this is kind of what they've been putting all their hopes and dreams on. Billy can recruit. Billy's going to get us out of this ditch. But considering they went 5-7, and they just signed the number 2 quarterback in the country, they just signed the number 2 defensive lineman in the country, they're getting top running backs to flip from other SEC programs. I would argue that today was a win, even though you lost guys. Do you see what I'm saying with this?
Yeah, no, again, the momentum, can be good and bad sometimes, especially on the recruiting trail. And it felt like it was a jump ship kind of situation there in Gainesville. And I think if you were to if you were to poll any fan and say, hey, you could steal one 5-star recruit in this class, what position do you want it to be in? You want it to be the quarterback, Mike, because that is a position. Look at LSU. LSU had an opportunity to play for a college football playoff, not because of how great that roster is, but because how good one individual is. So I think the Florida Gators are okay, brother. They salvaged this recruiting class, and again, they can continue to grow on it. So you got a quarterback. It's easier to recruit when you've got that commitment.
Yeah. How about this comment from Liquid Flame, Shane, a loyal listener here, Florida fan? He says the fans did this. They're always calling for Billy Napier's job instead of getting behind him. Recruits see that stuff. And I know what he's saying because, trust me, these Florida fans can be brutal. I mean, they hate me at times. So, I mean, I don't care or anything. Well, most of the time I'll say that. But I see what he's saying. It'd be very toxic.
Yeah.
I follow all these teams, right? And Florida player, it's not just Florida, so let's be clear. But I think it's more than not, I see Florida players saying, God, these fans are brutal, and going on about the fans and how they're on their ass. And again, I see that everywhere. I'm not saying it's just Florida, but I mean it's not unusual at all. I see it seemingly all the time with Florida fans jumping on the players and commit. They had one commit, Shane, had to delete his social media because of how brutal they were being to him, just this class. Mm-hmm. So I say all that to ask you, I mean, do you put any of this on the fans, or is this all Billy and company? They got to win some damn games too.
Yeah, no, this is on Coach. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't like to tweet at recruits and shit like that. I mean, you got to pause and say, hey, how old is this kid, and why am I texting him? Don't do that. Don't be that guy. But I think if he's excited about something, you can retweet it or whatever. I'm not trying to give you Twitter etiquette here, but when it boils down to it, Mike, if Florida Gators were winning, the fans would be happy. And if happy fans create happy recruits, you don't hear this with, well, I mean, I guess you hear it with everybody, but you know what I'm saying? Right now, Bama, they're not going at people because they're happy. They're in the college football playoff right now. You're not hearing this from these other teams. So I'm a little torn back and forth. You just got to pause before you text. Like I said, remember, I know it's football and you love football, but it is a kid in high school.
Right. If they didn't care, Shane, they wouldn't be tweeting all that. And I agree with you. Yeah. Don't be tweeting the recruits. Do whatever the hell you want. We don't do it, but I understand the passion. Maybe send that to your friend group. You know what I mean? More than
I get plenty of those too.
Oh yeah. So let's get into Georgia's class. Shane, number 1 in the country. Mm-hmm. Once again, 3 5-stars for them dogs.
Oh man.
17 4-stars and 8 3-stars. And the big one today, Shane, they flipped 5-star safety KJ Bolden. He was committed to Florida State. Many people thought he was going to Auburn. He flips from Florida State to Georgia here on signing day. They also got the number 1 cornerback, Ellis Robinson, number 1 linebacker, Justin Williams. KJ Bolden was number 1 safety. And how about this for good measure, Shane? I don't know why punters go to Athens, but they got the number 1 punter, Drew Miller. You might as well go to Vanderbilt where they actually use you. But, man, just loading up on elite talent here. No surprise, but credit Kirby and company. This is why I say he's the best recruiter of all time, getting these kids to flip last second. A recruiting battle's never over down there in Athens as long as they got their eyes on you. You know what?
Yeah, that's a good question about the punter, man. I always thought about that. Like, why go to somebody that uses you the least? Like, I would look at the numbers and say, okay, I want to get airtime, so I want to be in the SEC. But who's having trouble converting third downs? That's my team,
Jackson says, us dogs, we admire the punters. So maybe there's something to that. Maybe they just really have respect for those guys. You know what?
Hey, back in the day, man, Tennessee, you remember that? We with them Colquitts and everything. We loved the damn punters. But now when you go through a few of them, it's not so good. You know, you don't. I'm not saying not so good. I probably should just shut up.
Did you see what the Georgia punter said on social media, Shane, when he saw Carson Beck was coming back for another year?
Mm-mm.
He said something like, "Ah, shit, they're never going to use me next year."
Oh shit!
But hey, Shane, not everybody was happy that KJ Bolden picked Georgia. Got a little clip here. We're going to talk some Auburn, but before we do that, let's kick it over to Hugh Freeze.
Hey, Hugh, just how much effort went into keeping the guys that were committed versus going out and trying to flip guys from other places?
It was both. I mean, you can't. Listen, last night it was. There's some schools in this conference that they believe in last night efforts, and what you gotta fight, and you gotta hold on, and you gotta stay up all night and play video games and do stuff that's out of my comfort zone, and but you just, there was some late night pushes, and we held on some, and won and lost one, and people in this conference are good at what they do, and I don't always like what is done, but it's you gotta have plans, and you gotta fight for it, and but it was both. I mean, you got to try to hold on to your good ones and all of yours, and then trying to win a few battles at the end on some kids that are undecided.
All right, Shane, a lot to unpack there. Hugh Freeze don't like the shenanigans going on in recruiting in the SEC. What do they say, Shane? The pot calling the kettle black, whatever. I mean, my goodness, Shane. I mean, if there's one guy that should never talk about shady recruiting deals, it's old Hugh Freeze. And, he didn't come out and say Kirby this, Kirby that, but clearly that's who he's talking about.
Yeah.
He later in the press conference, I was going to include it, but he didn't say KJ Bolden or anything like that, but he basically said, hey, we had a guy. He said, I'm coming. That was 2 days ago. And now all of a sudden he's not coming. But that's clearly who he was talking about. But, I mean, I don't know. That's gone viral because, my goodness, Shane. I mean, late night pushes and Hugh Freeze. That's something that man should never say. You know what?
Let me ask you, because my mind went to a different route here. If you were to pick the coach in the SEC that's the best at playing video games and the worst, who do you think that would be? And I think I've been thinking about this for a minute. So for worst, I think it's easy. Nick Saban. I just think there's no way. Like I've seen him dance in living rooms and stuff like that. He's got a little spunk to him, but playing a video game, I just don't see it. I saw the virtual thing, so he's attempted it,
Right.
But I would say for the best, I would either Beamer or maybe Drink, one of those guys.
Yeah, Drink's, he's got a family. They probably got some Nintendo or something over there at Drink's house. That's a good one. Beamer, yeah, like you said. I would imagine Clark Lee. I think people get fooled by the bald head and everything. Think he's a little bit older. He's a younger guy. So give me some Clark Lee action. I could see him doing it. He comes
across as like a Wii guy, or maybe play board, chess or something. I could see him doing something like that. But
yeah. But I think you're right on. Nick Saban's probably never touched a video game. I would imagine
he did do that virtual thing. You remember he had the virtual thing. He was boxing. He
hated every second of that, Shane. I mean, I think Sam Pittman is probably second to I couldn't imagine him playing many video games, but
no.
I think Hypo could play a little bit. I could be wrong about that, but I feel like he's a little bit of a gamer.
I don't think Stoops would be much of a gamer. Definitely not what's his name down there in LSU, Kelly.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that would happen either. But maybe Lebby, I could see him
Oh,
in the
yeah.
mix. Lane, maybe. I mean, he's got them kids, so he's probably been forced to play a few of them, but he doesn't care for it.
Yeah. But again, Shade Auburn. So despite you complaining here,
Yeah.
he signed the number 7 class, 2 5-stars,
Oh, yeah.
outstanding, 9 4-stars, and 9 3-stars. And I think most importantly, Shane, the number 2 receiver, Cam Coleman, the number 7 receiver, Perry Thompson, and the number 7 quarterback, Walker White, out of Arkansas, that got him over Clemson. So you get some elite receivers. You get the quarterback of the future. I think that's exactly what you had to do this recruiting cycle, your first one there. And, aside from his comments here, I give Hugh an A+ on signing day.
Mike, if I'm picking a winner for National Signing Day, it is Auburn Tigers. Not even close. I think coming off the season that they had, you got to remember this is Hugh Freeze's first complete season of recruiting, and now you're up there with the big dogs. So and you got some talent, brother. You're bringing some dudes down there that will fit this system. You've been scratching your head saying, why the hell can we not throw downfield? Well, we will here in another year or two, buddy. Auburn's bringing it, brother.
Yep. Someone in the comments here, Heath says, Drink plays Legend of Zelda. I can see that.
Oh, man, there comes the Razorbacks.
All right, how about Alabama, Shane? Again, number 2 recruiting class in the country. Also, again, transfer has been very busy here lately. They landed former Texas A&M 5-star defensive lineman L.T. Overton. So that's big. Plug-and-play type player on the defensive line, and he does not count towards their recruiting class, number 2 in the country. They signed 3 5-stars, 13 4-stars, and 9 3-stars, and they got the number 2 cornerback, Jalen Mbake, number 3 quarterback, Julian Sayin from, I believe, California, number 3 receiver, Ryan Williams, who reclassified. He was a 2025, now he's a 2024 5-star. But again, the rich get richer, and there are no deficiencies on Bama's roster, but you land quarterbacks, you land receivers, you land defensive backs. Those are the premier positions in all of college football.
Jeez. Wouldn't it be nice, just to wake up? If you're not a Georgia or Alabama fan, wouldn't you just like to wake up to one National Signing Day and say those top numbers? You'd be talking about that recruiting class for 20 years, but it's just another day. So, the rich get richer, brother.
Hey, Matt says, Drake looks like he codes his own video games.
You bastards. Oh, man.
All right, how about Texas? Shane, number 6 class in the country. They picked up a transfer, big-time receiver from Houston, Matthew Golden. He was their top. Apparently, they wanted this guy more than Juice Wells. So, tell you what they think of that guy.
Is that what you say after you don't get Juice Wells?
Exactly. But they did sign 4 5-stars, Shane, 6 4-stars, and 11 3-stars. The number 2 offensive tackle, Brandon Baker. Number 2 safety, Xavier Filzami, who they flipped from Florida just a couple days ago. Number 4 receiver, Ryan Wingo, finally woke up and signed those papers. They also got the number 2 running back, Jurek Gibson, and the number 4 linebacker, Colin Simmons. This is another one, Shane, where a loaded roster stays elite here with the number 6 class in the country. And again, I mean, they didn't need a quarterback either because they got Arch Manning coming up through the ranks here. So an outstanding class for the Longhorns.
Yeah, no, it definitely was, and they got some serious weapons. That's what I like about it. They've got it through the portal. They're starting to hit it on the recruiting class. Again, they're loading up a roster that's going to be able to compete with the SEC immediately. So, it's not easy. I always wondered, because you look at teams like Alabama, you look at teams like Texas. They're fighting for college this year. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about next year with the National Signing Day and the portal. They're still trying to game prep because they got a college football playoff to get to. So it's just impressive. Big win for the Longhorn fans here.
And then Oklahoma, our new SEC cousin here, Shane, again, number 8 class in the country, signed 1 5-star, 13 4-stars, and 14 3-stars. So really loading up on quantity here. They signed the number 5 defensive lineman in the country, David Stone, and the number 1 running back in the country, Taylor Tatum, Shane. So I guess them Sooners are going to be running the ball. Or at least they think they are when they come to the SEC. Can't wait to see how this pans out. But my goodness, Shane, 13 4-stars. I mean, that's incredible. You know what?
Yeah, absolutely, man. But Mizzou fans looking there, they're going to be like, hey, they're already scouting, you know?
Yes, indeed. We'll get to that in a minute. LSU, Shane, number 11 class. Again, they didn't sign a 5-star. They're still in it for one at least. But they did sign 14 4-stars, 13 3-stars. They got the number 3 tight end, Tredez Green, the number 4 safety, Deshaun McBride. But here's kind of where they killed it in recruiting, Shane. They signed 11 of the top 14 prospects from Louisiana, and the number 1 is a defensive lineman by the name of Dominic McKinley. He's committed to A&M, but he's not signed. And he's saying, I'm not signed until February, and LSU is still in on him. So they have a real opportunity, Shane, to sign 12 of the top 14 from the state of Louisiana. And the fact that you just basically signed nothing but Louisiana kids and you got the number 11 class, that gives you an indication of how rich talent is down there on the Bayou.
Yeah, and it's won a lot of national championships down there. So that is the recipe. And sometimes it's not, as 5-star rich as you'd like it to be, but still you've got pipelines in these high schools, and you got to remember in 2-3 years there may be another kid that pops up that's 5-star talent, but his brother's playing for LSU or his cousin's there at LSU. So absolutely, man, this is it's always important for LSU coaches to protect the borders. So yeah, it may not be a huge win this season, but it may pay off in following seasons.
Right. So Tennessee, Shane, number 13 class in the country. They did pick up a key transfer today, Shane. Oregon State cornerback Jermod McCoy. He was a true freshman, started 4 games for Oregon State last season, and he's from Texas, and they beat out a couple Texas schools to get him, so must have really wanted to be involved. They signed 2 5-stars, 9 4-stars, 10 3-stars, and they got the number 1 edge player, Jordan Ross, pass rusher, number 8 receiver, Mike Matthews, number 7 safety, Boo Carter, and number 8 offensive tackle, Bennett Warren. And according to Mark Stoops, Shane, Tennessee's a bunch of damn cheaters in the portal.
You had a couple guys go into the portal and come back, especially Dingle and the portal. How big was that for the tight end room to get him back?
Yeah, I think it was very important. Jordan's a guy that we definitely want in the program. I mean, here's a young man that does, everything right. He's darn near perfect in his grades, and he's been just a great teammate. He loves it here. I don't think wanted to leave. I'm just going to stop there before I get myself in trouble. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to whine or cry. This is an exciting day. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of money involved.
Not that the...
Good.
Oh, man. I mean, he got his guy to come back, and he still complained. You know what this reminds me of, Shane, is, let's say you got a job. You're doing well at your job, but you go and you try to land another job, and then you don't get that job. And then you come back and say, you know what? I didn't even want that damn job. Like you got caught interviewing for it, but you're with your old boss saying, I didn't even entertain those fools. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of what this felt like to me.
Oh man, maybe I shouldn't comment either because I'm the same way. I hope he's enjoying that new ride.
Ginger Ninja says UK needs to pick up a coach in the portal. No.
Hey, didn't he just jump in the portal and see how much he's worth? He almost went down to A&M, did he not? So whatever.
But speaking of Kentucky, so it's funny, Shay, because they picked up some big time players in the portal, including Pop Johnson there from Georgia, Shane, All-American linebacker, was a finalist for the Buckus in 2022, just a season ago. Only played 9 games this year after sustaining a season-ending injury. But to get a plug-and-play, All-American type linebacker, that's massive for Kentucky. They also got Florida offensive lineman Jalen Farmer to go to Kentucky. And there's one other guy. I don't know they've officially got him yet, so I don't want to ruin his moment or anything, but sounds like they're going to pick up another defensive back, Shane, with SEC starting experience to come to Kentucky. So they are loading up. And remember, they already got Brock Vandegrift. They already got the Ohio State running back, the backup running back. So they they got a receiver from North Texas, Macklin, who had over 1,000 yards. I mean, they're going heavy portal, instant impact here for Lexington. It's a solid class here, transfer portal class for Kentucky.
Do it, man. Just keep doing it. That not quite last chance you, but it's next chance you. You know, get an opportunity to come up here, actually start, actually put some film out there so that you can go on to the next level. And that's one thing that Kentucky can provide these kids is a proven track record of putting people in the league. And all right, play it, lean into it, be that team. Who cares? Because if you keep reloading through the portal, it's a revolving door of talent.
Right, and how about this comment from Xavier, Shane? It's crazy. Every fan base is accusing every other fan base of cheating. That's accurate, isn't it? I mean, everybody's damn cheating.
Yeah, when you lose your guy, it's like, well, I'm sorry. Why don't they just come here and play because they love the sport, not because they need the money?
Right, and apparently even at Florida, they're saying, Shane, some of these guys they lost, we pulled their offer. Top 100 players pulled their offer. You're not welcome here. You know, like, good Lord, he'd probably start day one, you know?
Questionable character. Yeah.
But I don't think I even hit on the recruits, Shane. So they got 5 4-stars in Lexington, 16 3-stars. But again, their class is I don't want to say all, because they landed a big-time quarterback, in-state guy that I think they beat out like Ohio State for him. So credit to them. But this is mostly about the transfers that they're getting down there in Lexington. You know what?
Yeah, just keep doing it. And they're not having a lot of transferred out. You know what I'm saying? So that's what Kentucky has always had, that niche that they were a developmental school, you know. And I think they still are to a certain extent, but being able to bring some kids in that can plug and play immediately, that's what keeps Kentucky at the top of that list every year when we go in saying, well, can this team surprise you? Well, yeah, because look at this roster now.
Right. So number 17 class, Shane, Texas A&M. And this is another one. It's kind of hard to judge because half the class didn't sign today. Also, I should note, big news, Shane, with their roster. Receiver Evan Stewart hit the portal. And
checkmate.
Unfortunately, Shane, it sounds like, again, he's nothing official yet, but it sounds like the 2 teams he's looking at, Alabama, Texas. So it could literally not get any worse for A&M wherever he went, but just please don't go to Bama or Texas, and that's probably where he'll end up, one of the two. But so A&M, they've signed 0 5-stars, 3 4-stars, and 7 3-stars here, but they have 2 5-stars committed, 3 more additional 4-stars, and 2 3-stars. But again, these guys are not, half the class not signing till February. Give them a opportunity to see who Mike Elko, his full staff, get that rapport going. As long as they don't sign elsewhere, you still got to like A&M's chances to keep a lot of these guys. No guarantees in recruiting because everybody's going to come after elite players that aren't committed. But again, I like I said at the front, I would rather this happen than you rush to a decision, because even if you sign every single one of these guys today and they leave 3 months from now, what the hell was the point? You know what I mean? So I want guys that are a little bit more bought into the Mike Elko program than maybe if they're on the fence, they probably shouldn't sign right now.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, as far as the fan base, if there's any fan base we don't need to preach patience to, it's these guys and girls. You know, they've been patient. They will be patient with Elko. You know, it's not going to be immediate. It's not, you know, he's not I mean, he's not a splash hire, but, he is I think he's going to help this program tremendously. But a full season under his belt, this following recruiting class is going to look 10 times better. So
Right.
I'm not panicking by no means. Just trying to keep what you have in. Find a few pieces, get you through the season. They'll be fine there in A&M.
Now, Jesse, he's wanting us to get to the Cox, Shane. South Carolina, the number 20 class.
Yeah.
Again, this is not a big quantity class. That's why the ranking is 20th. But they signed a 5-star, Shane, 8 4-stars, 7 3-stars, and they're another one that's gone heavy portal, which does not count into these rankings.
Yeah.
But they got the number 3 edge player in the country, Dylan Stewart, who, when he commit to South Carolina, Shane, a lot of people had him pegged as the number 1 prospect in the country. So that's kind of his ceiling. He could be the best player here. The number 3 offensive tackle, Josiah Thompson. The number 4 tight end, Michael Smith. The number 8 linebacker, Fred Johnson. And the number 2 junior college defensive lineman, Jerome Simmons. I love this class, Shane. Trenches.
Yeah.
That's where they needed help. That's where Beamer and company attacked. Again, not a high quantity, more quality than anything. The only downside, Shane, and he's not gone yet, but starting left tackle Jalen Nichols did enter the portal today. Mm-hmm. He didn't play all year. He was lost for the season. He's the one that got hurt in the spring game. But that'd be a tough blow, losing your left tackle with a new quarterback coming in. You want to solidify that, of course, but he's not gone. He's just in the portal.
Yeah, and I think you hit it, trenches, big boys. This is what we've been missing. So and the problem is it's not like you can really plug and play some of these guys. They still got to get some of that weight on them and things like that. I'm looking at that JUCO kid. I think he may be an immediate impact, but this is where they've struggled. So loading up that line of scrimmage is very pivotal for South Carolina, and I think they're very excited, especially with the portal and this class. Gamecock fans are all right.
Yep. Now, next, Ole Miss, Shane, number 21 class, and it's surprising that they're even this high because they focus so heavily on the portal, which, again, is not factored into these rankings, but they signed 6 4-stars, 15 3-stars. They got the number 2 junior college receiver, Deion Smith, number 10 athlete, Norrell White, and Lane Kiffin got him an extension chain. Let's play this little quick clip here from the Portal King.
So now going into schools, living rooms, or college campuses nowadays for players, I think that there's a different feeling when we walk in at Ole Miss than it was when we got here.
Oh, yeah. Well, there should be, Shane. I mean, again, this is a stat that's been said time and time again, but it deserves to be said because this is not something that Ole Miss could have said much in their history. But aside from Georgia, aside from Alabama, Shane, the last 3 years, no one's won more SEC games than Ole Miss. So they're not on the level of Alabama, Georgia yet, clearly, but you can make the case they're the next best option to knock down that door. And what they're doing in the transfer portal, they're putting forth the effort and everything they have to get there.
Yeah, well, in this recruiting class, it doesn't seem big, but it is, man, because years past, every big job that's ever came open, Lane Kiffin was on that short list. And, getting a contract extension, establishing roots in Mississippi alone is very, very important. And I saw a lot of local recruits coming to campus now. So that's one thing that is going to keep improving. And he'll always be the Portal King, Mike. He's always going to be on the edge there. So don't worry. Ole Miss will always get talent there. But, if he could figure out the recruiting side of it and the portal, watch out, brother.
Yep. And then next up, Shane, Mizzou, 24 recruiting class in the country. Again, does not count transfers, and they landed a big one since we last recorded, Shane. Oklahoma offensive lineman Caden Green. Drake says, I love green. The color. He can't talk about the player yet because I guess the paperwork's not in just yet, but that's a huge one, Shane. Could be a lockdown lineman for the rest of his career at Missouri before he goes on to the NFL. And Oklahoma fans are still upset about that. Georgia linebacker Darius Smith also transferred in to Mizzou. That was a big one. They landed the 4-star receiver Courtney Crutchfield, number 1 prospect from Arkansas just the other day, and Jaron Sensabaugh, top corner from the state of Tennessee. Over that ball, Shane. I know that was a tough one for you, but these are the guys they put up all the billboards for.
Yeah, I know.
But they signed a 5-star, 4 4-stars, 15 3-stars, including the number 1 edge defender, a player many have as the top overall prospect in the country, Williams and Wari. This is where you need these players to compete at a high level in the SEC, and that Courtney Crutchfield is the number 12 receiver in the country. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty thrilled with this class if I'm a Missouri fan.
Well, I saw that Georgia one that transferred over, and I'd love to give the kid credit, whoever said this, but he said they went to Mizzou because he wanted to compete for college football championships.
Exactly.
Oh, no, this is a big one. Eli did come out later, talking about Williams. The kid's never wavered. Once he committed, he's been there, and that's what they want in Mizzou. And you could tell, man, some of these kids that get on this campus, like, they're lifers. They're going to be Mizzou till the end.
Yep. And then next, Arkansas, Shay, number 28 class in the country. But again, they picked up some big transfers since we last recorded. Former 5-star Georgia linebacker Xavier Sori, Shane. Arkansas's got an outstanding track record of taking in these players from across the SEC, like a Drew Sanders, and making them big-time players. Dwight McGlothern will be another one, on and on and on. They also added Tennessee lineman Shane Addison Nichols, Josh Heupel's first class. This was the highest-rated prospect in Tennessee's class. He hadn't played a ton in his 2 years at Tennessee. Now he's an Arkansas Razorback. So I love these 2 pickups for the Razorbacks. They signed 5 4-star.
We were making room, by the way, so go on.
Of course. 5 4-stars for the Razorbacks, 11 3-stars. Number 10 corner in the country, Selman Bridges. Number 15 quarterback in the country, KJ Jackson. I almost said a different name there. And the number 18 defensive lineman, Charleston Collins. So all in all, again, I think considering the uncertainty with Sam Pittman just a month ago, I think number 28 class and landing these big-time transfers, I think that's a pretty solid haul for the Razorbacks.
It's like the Walmart version, not Dr. Pepper, Dr. Thunder, maybe this is the good one. No, I'm not going to overreact from this recruiting class. It's still a top 28 recruiting class. There's still chance for them to move into the top 25 on this next recruiting deadline. But yeah, they'll be fine. But this is a season that you've got to hit immediately, and that's why I've got my eyes more on the portal with Arkansas than I do the recruiting classes.
Right. And then next we got Mississippi State, Shane, number 35 class in the country. Again, that's to be expected with the coaching transition and everything. They're going portal heavy as well. 2 4-stars they signed, 18 3-stars. They got the number 28 offensive tackle in the country. I love this, Jimothy Lewis, and the number 43 receiver, J.J. Harrell. They also, Shane, since we last recorded, picked up a big-time receiver in the transfer portal, UTEP Kelly. I'm going to butcher the heck out of this, Shane. Akihaya. I'm going to spell this out for you, Shane. You try. Akihariyi.
Can I have it in a sentence?
Well, it don't matter, Shane. He's all Conference USA first team, over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. Plug him into this Jeff Lebby offense. We're talking big-time player here. So I love that. And we got a quarterback, Michael Van Buren, Shane, was committed to Oregon, got him to flip right before signing day. You're talking Jeff Lebby getting quarterbacks, offensive tackles, receivers. We're talking fun football coming back to Mississippi State.
That's exactly right, man. It's a lot of these names, even if we're having trouble pronouncing them now, at the end of next season, maybe stat leaders, because that's the style offense that Lebby's going to be running here. So yeah, this is don't obviously you're not going to panic. You're excited about what's being the product itself. Maybe not all the ingredients that you need right now, but they'll be fine.
Right. And then last but not least, well, Vanderbilt. I guess it
There
is
they
kind
are.
of
Yeah.
kind of is the least. Number 40 class in the country. 2 4-stars, 17 3-stars. But they did, Shane. They finally got themselves a quarterback. Utah quarterback Nate Johnson. He's a guy that he didn't start. Remember in that opener against Florida where they whipped him pretty good?
Yeah.
He was the guy that burst open. It was like a 20-yard touchdown run that kind of won the game for Utah.
Yeah.
He's at Vanderbilt now, so he's probably going to be their starting quarterback. He's probably the only quarterback they got on the roster now. But so dual threat type guy. It's good to get that in. They're another one, Shane. They have found NIL money. They should have found it about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
They could keep some of these guys on their roster. But they found some money, and now they got them some players in here. They also signed the number 10 safety in the country, Dante Carter, and the number 17 tight end, Whit Edwards. So they're trying, Shane. They're trying at Vanderbilt, and that's all we can really ask of them. You know what?
Yeah, they're just always like a year or two late, but they'll get there. And if given the opportunity, brother, I'm telling you, Vanderbilt could be a gold mine. So it just needs it needs to catch fire.
Yeah.
And like you said, they found some NIL money. They're going to have new facilities. There's going to be a lot of things that you can provide to these future recruits that are coming there. Top 40, buddy. I remember Vanderbilt classes in the 80s, in the hundreds. So I'm not
Hey,
fretting
they're
right now.
recruiting better than Dion. How about that?
I mean, come on.
All right, so hey, that's all I got on this episode, buddy. You got anything else before we hop off the line?
No, this is a wild few days. It's been great, and we're going to be staying on top of it. So we got some more Christmas stuff that we're going to get into. Let's see, tomorrow we got Thursday show. We got 2 more shows, so we got some fun stuff planned here the next couple of days. We're going to get into some football games, man. We got some bowl games starting to crank up here around the holidays. So I know you got a lot of stuff going on, and if you ain't got nothing else to do, hang out with cousin Shane and Mike here. We'll drink some beers and talk about how bad we hate them all.
Yeah, you never know with some kind of emergency podcast needs to go
Yeah.
down, so be on the lookout for all that. Turn on your notifications, subscribe, all that. You guys already know, but that's all I got. And I did. I guess I should say this just on the show, just so people know, Shane. I think Christmas is like on a Tuesday. I can't remember. Sunday, is it?
Yeah. Hey, wait. Today's Wednesday, so we got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Monday.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So Steven and we do the Tuesday show, right?
Yes.
Called a Steven Lassen Tuesday. I said, hey, you get Christmas off, Steven. So we're not going to record that on Monday. We're going to record that on Tuesday. So it'll be a Steven Lassen Wednesday, just so everybody knows. And he and I are going to preview all the bowl games next week. So I just want the audience to be aware of that.
Yeah. Congratulations with the new baby.
Yeah.
You talk about he ain't got no sleep. He needs this, he needs to step away and get a little break, so
Yep.
Yeah. Look forward to it. We'll be a little flexible around the holidays, but shit, Mike, if something wild happens, like you said, we'll just turn on the cameras and get on here and do an emergency podcast. So
Absolutely. Well, brother, I appreciate you. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out, especially those on the live show. We really do appreciate each and every one of you. We'll catch you on the next one.
all right, see you guys. Go Vols.